I think Whisper of the Heart is one of the few movies that really understands how embarrassing it is to have a dream. Not after you succeed, before that. When it's still private, still fragile, still living somewhere between fantasy and instinct, and you have no proof that you're actually good enough to carry it. That's what makes this movie hurt. Because it looks so gentle at first. A girl riding trains, checking out library books, translating lyrics, following a cat through the city, slowly falling into one of those strange summer feelings that seems half like romance and half like becoming a person. It's about the moment when the thing you love stops being only a comfort and starts asking something back from you. I think that's why Whisper of the Heart stays with people. It seems to understand that awful transition between loving something and trying to do it yourself. That moment when your inner life stops being a hiding place and becomes a responsibility. Shizuku is such a beautiful character for that because she does not begin the film as someone empty or lost. She's already full. She reads constantly. She notices everything. She wanders through her neighborhood like the world is always on the verge of becoming a story. Even the opening gives us that feeling so quickly. The headphones, the city at night, take me home country roads. That sense that her life already has this rich inward soundtrack to it. She has taste, curiosity, imagination, a private world that feels alive. And when you're young, that can feel like enough for a while. You can love books without having to write one. You can admire beautiful things without having to find out whether you can make any. You can feel deeply and still stay hidden inside that feeling. That's where Shizuku begins. And then the movie introduces one tiny detail that changes everything. The library cards. She keeps seeing the same names in the books she checks out. Seiji Amasawa. And it's such a small thing, but it carries this weirdly intimate charge. Somebody else has already been here. Somebody else has loved the same books. Somebody else has been moving through the same invisible world she thought belonged only to her. And I think that's the first real shift in the movie, because now her inner life is no longer sealed off. Now there is another person inside it. And that's a very specific adolescent feeling too. The shock of realizing that your taste reveals you. That the things you love are not just things you consume privately. They are clues. They say something about who you are. And once you find a person that fits that same pattern, a new feeling enters almost immediately. Comparison. That's why Seiji makes sense. Because he makes it harder for her to stay vague. He's teasing and irritating and a little smug. But underneath all that, he has direction. He is already trying to become something. And that's what destabilizes her. He doesn't just make Shizuku feel seen. He makes her feel behind. I think that's a much more interesting kind of romantic tension. Because the real pressure of their relationship is not just, does she like him back? It's that he turns admiration into motion. He forces a question she could avoid before. What are you going to do with all this feeling? And that's where the movie starts to become quietly brutal. Because once Shizuku asks that question for real, she can't go back to just drifting through beauty. Now she has to test herself against it. And this is where I think Whisper of the Heart becomes one of the most honest movies ever made about creativity, at the stage where it all still hurts, where it's mostly desire and instinct and overreaching and not yet craft. A lot of stories want this part to feel inspiring right away. The young artist discovers their gift, believes in themselves, and everything begins unfolding in a clean upward line. But that's not what this movie does. This movie understands that the beginning is often confusing and slightly humiliating. Because in your head, making something feels beautiful. That's what the barren world is so good at expressing. The antique shop, the figure itself, the sense of hidden stories inside objects, the cat leading her through side streets and stairways. All of it gives form to the romantic version of creativity. The feeling that beauty is trying to pull you somewhere. That your inner life has a shape, that maybe the world is secretly waiting for you to answer it. And maybe that's true, but the film keeps placing that feeling next to the actual work. Shizuku sitting down to write, Shizuku disappearing into her room, neglecting school, sleep, and everything else because the thing inside her suddenly feels urgent and fragile, and she has no idea how to actually hold it yet. That contrast is the whole movie to me, because Whisper of the Heart knows the fantasy of art and the practice of art are not the same thing. In your imagination, creating something feels luminous. In real life, it often feels like sitting alone with something half-formed and realizing that your sincerity is not the same as skill. That is such a painful discovery, especially when you're young enough to feel that anything less than beautiful means maybe you were never meant to do it at all. And the film is so gentle with that fear. It doesn't mock Shizuku for being intense. It doesn't flatter her by pretending that effort automatically becomes greatness either. It lets her be earnest, talented, immature, brave, obsessive, and unfinished all at once. That's such a humane way to write a young person, and I really think all of this is building toward one scene. The scene with Mr. Nishi, because that is where the movie stops being a lovely coming-of-age story and becomes something even more generous than that. When he reads her story, he doesn't laugh at it. He doesn't crush her. He doesn't give her fake praise just to protect her feelings. He does something rarer. He takes her seriously. And because he takes her seriously, he tells her the truth. It's raw. It's incomplete. It needs work. But what's so beautiful is that he never says this in a way that turns her smallness into a verdict. He doesn't confuse being early with being incapable. That distinction is the deepest kindness in the film. Because when you're young, those feelings feel identical. If the work falls short, then maybe the dream was childish. If your first real attempt is messy, then maybe your longing was fake. I think a lot of people spend years quietly haunted by that feeling. And Mr. Nishi just breaks it so gently. He gives beginner work dignity. He basically tells her, yes, it's rough. Yes, you have a long way to go. And no, that does not mean you should turn away. That's such an extraordinary thing for an adult to offer a young person. No empty encouragement, but just added perspective. A way to survive the first honest encounter with your own limits. And I think that's why this scene lands so hard. Because the real wound of making something is not always failure. Sometimes it's exposure. It's showing someone the thing that came from the deepest, softest part of you, and hearing, without cruelty, that it still isn't there yet. But Whisper of the Heart understands that devastation without treating it like the end of the road. It treats it like the beginning of one. That's why the ordinary world around Shizuku matters so much too. The apartment, her parents moving through their own routines, the school pressure, the heat, the trains, the little social dramas with her friends, the violin workshop, the antique shop tucked away like another kind of future. All of it keeps reminding you that none of this is really happening in some fantasy realm. She is trying to become herself in the middle of ordinary life, and ordinary life does not always know what to do with fragile ambition. That makes her desire feel even more vulnerable, because it's not only artistically risky, it's socially awkward too. It can make you look dramatic or impatient. There's a very particular embarrassment in caring deeply about something before you have any evidence that it's going anywhere. And the film understands that too. It understands the loneliness of wanting something that still has no visible form. And I think that's why the fantasy elements never feel separate from that realism. The Baron is not an escape from the truth of the movie. He is part of the truth. He gives shape to how noble and enchanted a calling can feel before it fully hardens into labor. The movie never tells Shizuku to give that feeling up. It just asks her to grow large enough to meet it honestly. That's what makes the ending so moving to me. The film doesn't reward her by proving she is already extraordinary. It doesn't hand her mastery, or erase the uncertainty, or even pretend the path ahead is now simple. What it does give her is smaller than that, and maybe more important, direction. She knows now that the thing inside her is real. She knows that trying will humble her. She knows that loving something is not the same as being ready for it, but she also knows that being unready is not the same as being wrong. And I think that's why Whisper of the Heart feels so gentle, even while telling the truth. It knows your first sincere attempt may disappoint you. Your dream may embarrass you. The distance between what you love and what you can currently do may hurt more than you expected. And still, that does not mean the love was foolish. Maybe that's just what a beginning feels like.